Hey guys, welcome to Sopi Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para nos abrir. Sopi Studio é a plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde está. Sopi Studio, powered by Qredits. Botou uma ideia? Qredits educa e prepara a para ser um empresário exitoso. De business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100,000 florin. Bira para mês donho com Qredits. Sopi. Passa na Sopi para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba. Nós está cerca de Bo. Sopi. SwingMasterz. Organizando events, conferences of weddings, Mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of LED screen, SwingMasterz está claro para ser boa fiesta êxito. SwingMasterz. E agora, Sopi Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba, está apresentar.
Boa noite. Welcome a Cacho Spierto.
Boa noite.
Ita back.
Yes, bota back. Welcome back. Good to have you back.
Bahia, me falta.
Mi ahaya por falta, yes.
Ganha.
Yes, indeed.
Mawake programa ng Hopi bom.
Não sai por falta.
No, pero mawake programa é um último também. Hopi hiende wake.
Bawa mi struggle com Cacho sounds na. So ma struggle, mi not ganha. Mi definitely struggle. Kuti hasta leo me serviço a mi premium ya jamás.
A mim não, wake sei, pero mi mister struggle provavelmente, pero mas é bom.
Não, mas struggle que é bem assim, me não é oportunidade dado momento, me mesmo lubidar também.
Okay.
Não se vai ensinar. Quando nós te papia, ora é nós te lose track, wak, sei ora é
é líder.
Yeah, you know.
Não, líder da outra, pero me importa timekeeper. Well, agora nós temos tópico mais interessante a trovar de microplastics.
Yes.
Então, pensei, sim, nós a invitar Juliet, mas danke, welcome.
Danke.
Me te quero nós em roupa de papel, se você não também me te zoom em de viaja.
Yes, please.
Se você por introduzir o Messi.
Sure. Juliet Carvalhal, director de Impact Blue Foundation. Matrahari balai di saco de plastic e dos leimas, das na Aruba, na St. Martin. E dengan último ano mi kasama hasi 3 estudios científicos riba tópico de plastic.
Então, que é o background?
Eigenlijk maar sali voor de private sector, retail.
Ok, então como bem na plastics e na isso aqui?
Yeah. December 2003 mi kasama tata. Mi tatawa kong news item arriba tel Aruba. De mangrove cleanup que está passando cerca de Parkitenbos, dus downwind DJ. E gewoon, zei toen area como we used to use it a lot, snorkeling and water skiing. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. So that was actually the start of my story.
So from the roots up, you're like...
Yeah, I changed my entire career because of realizing the work that needed to be done on the topic. So,
okay. Microplastics we're going to talk about. Can somebody explain it? I know what micro is, of course, but plastics, but why is it a topic?
I have a first question on microplastics.
You can do that, of course.
Okay. A pergunta de Mitaka é o que você pode considerar como o size de microplástico? É importante passar aqui que é size.
Pero nós precisamos para mim que é microplastic, para mim que não é size.
Não, pero nós precisamos aqui que é plástico para mim. Então depois você vai para tocando microplastic. Então agora é size.
Sounds fine. I don't care as long as we know what we're talking about. Just first the size. Okay, the size.
All plastic.
Microplastics 5 millimeters or less. Ita queda breakdown. Dus ahora botahaya nanoplastic, etc. Pero 5 millimeters, it's like the size of your fingernail. Yeah.
Okay. And the plastics?
What are they?
Yeah, what we are talking about.
Polymers.
Yeah.
Polymers.
Okay. Do we have a visual on that already or not?
Over die
I didn't make.
polymers, siguro no. Nog steeds tanto eigenlijk. Eigenlijk ik is super excited wat die Juliet kinang. So ami conoce Juliet die entrevista nang kumain si Juliet. Pag ikumita ay importante pa din Juliet kinang. So manig elabisa di sa background isa over the microplastics. Pero ilahasi tami ang expedition pa pamisa midi microplastics nan din región kinang. Anto durante onze entrevista na verdade ora ela explica hope over the microplastics.
Dus you're saying first you want to go to the expedition and then we're going to talk about the polymers.
Sí.
Okay, fine.
Sí. Pag ko explica die expedition da sobre ko inang ora ay inang wordt bambisa onderzocht. Pero porta abo explica zijn mas mi of course. Que tipo de plastic eigenlijk dat de nos awa nang? Kiko inojis de nos awa, pero bambisa eigenlijk kiko nos ta riba nos terra nang, ding is sediment, dus ding is santo. Dus met kere is site algo for one, dat hobby importante para nos saber, para ora nos que tipo de plastic, ante ora nos explica kiko ta plastic eigenlijk ora.
Okay.
Pensa.
No, pero aí na cava vai para minha pergunta é costa com maneira Julieta Bisa 5 mm per nota standardized worldwide ainda tá NOAA com European Chemical Agency como atra hopi konan tá definir 5 mm e menos. Ao se boak universidade não tá bij te asa de micrometers, no millimeters, pero micro tá 1000 lager. De maneira Julieta Bisa acaba nano tá 10 tot de macht min 9. Ao millimeter, no? Maar zo interessante tá. O mais ou menos para papi com de maneira provavelmente que se é ding dembo aba com o bebê. Ok? Essa é minha queda bisa pessoa.
Que entrega nos cava. Ok.
Sim, não, grandura para determinar se é passa door je filter não, que menos é importante passar isso aí então.
Ja, oké. Nos erbij back. Nos erbij pinse back, pues misa e investigação com uma boquia bai. Pero pro menos ya sa que abo mesa investigar riba expedição com uma compreender com internacional, misa kiko, bosa bai riba lama.
Sim. X-Expedition is eigenlijk een series die all female voyages that they've been doing actually for quite some years, I think since about 2013 or 2014. And they would sail to, say, gyres, there's 5 of them, I think, globally, to try and figure out, what they were finding. There was this whole idea that, the plastic gyres were these huge islands of, plastic floating on the surface of the ocean.
Like the plastic soup.
Yeah, exactly. But it's, exactly that. It's a soup. So they keep breaking down. The plastics keep breaking down. So actually, you can't really see when you're in the middle of a gyre other than, maybe finding some fishing nets here and there or a chair floating by or whatever. Pero it's not what people think of an island. It's completely disintegrated. You don't even know that you're sailing through it because they're so small.
So
sorry, Isaki wa hasi
so in December 2019, I was lucky enough to be selected for a round the world X-Expedition. So they were literally trying to sail fully around the globe in 30 legs where 10 women could join for each leg. So I applied obviously for the one that was as local as possible. So I sailed from Antigua to Bonaire and then got off at Aruba.
Okay.
So ay bambisa si nos piani expedition persoonlijk persoonlijk kan mij hoop ik great persoonlijk dat letterlijk trashing heen moe ding een expeditie ku ta actually bij onderzoek bambisa around the world En zij not algo que você tende hobby
No,
viaja.
no.
Dus hij zei echt hobby great pa volg. Pero se nós trabalha riba plastic soup, dus is zei que menko wanneer we echt repara, si bota swimming in it. Dus is zei que menko si mita landando banda di Bambisa Eagle Beach of Porta banda di Mangalhalto, probabilità comita eigenlijk just swimming ding microplastics, sin comisa.
Probably.
Well, see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And
what before we go in that, what were the main findings from that is relevant for here for Aruba?
Okay. Well, the first thing, Expedition really focused, like the science, really focused on tackling, acquiring knowledge from a holistic perspective. So they looked at, for example, what was floating at the surface, whether microplastics were sinking, because there's a phenomenon out there, saying that these are likely sinking over time. To figure out what was in the sediment, to try and figure out where they were coming from. So there was also a land-based science perspective. And then finally, they also looked for each country where the boat stopped. We also looked at any waste management data that was available, as well as policies to try and interpret what we were finding out there.
okay, so por ahora en español moest er eigenlijk een visual die van mensen ruta ko awardo passa, minus asi jafo pa passa Aha, agora que nós lo que nós está bem tawata, essa que é parte de ruta ko awardo assim com Juliet abo a do meio, toch?
Yeah, correcto.
So can you say something about the findings? Like, for example, we are very, for example, Leo is very interested in the part where it's coming from. And we're talking about Aruba.
Yeah. So we found, the ocean, what we were finding in the ocean, so again, at the surface, the middle part, and also the sediments, those are definitely coming from land. For Aruba in particular, what we found is 85% of what we found in the ocean-based samples were coming from land in Aruba. The other thing, about 15% probably were coming from Venezuela, so there's that movement, right? Bonaire, for example, also 60% were coming from land. But, again, these were momentopnames, so we have to remember that, right? And specific spots, right? So for
because you, Leo, you read the report also, and that
I
was
read-
one of the
I
first
read
questions you
definitely,
asked.
yes.
Yes.
First question I have is always
Yes.
the causal relationship between the source and what you find stroomafwaarts, how do you call it? Current.
the currents,
Due to the
yeah.
current. If you look at the visual again, but you didn't take the right one, which is the islands. There is not another picture in the publication.
Yeah, with the
showing the currents.
triangles
Yeah,
and the dots.
and
It's not that I didn't pick the right one. I took one that would explain this visual.
No, it's not about critic. It's about that the right one. I wanted to discuss with you what if you look at the current streams, which is the warm Gulf Stream, is coming from down there, South America.
Yeah.
Taking all the microplastics. There is another publication I sent you. All the microplastic of all these countries.
And these are ending up in
because you don't
sandblast.
have a baseline of when there were no microplastics, you have a very difficult to put the causal relationship between sources and what you are finding stroomafwaarts
Yes.
from an island or whatever. If you look at the map only, I can tell you, Antigua would be clean because he's getting the ocean, which is already a very big ocean. So all the microplastics coming from Africa, from all over the world, North Sea and everywhere, because the Gulf is not going to Newfoundland, it's coming back. So it's taking all this pollution. So the islands who are on the edge, or where the how do you call it, the strain is starting of the islands, all the lesser Caribbean and the lesser Antilles.
You mean the Atlantic?
Are getting the clean water. If you take Panama, I concluded already before reading the article that Panama would be the most polluted one with microplastic, because we know already from Aruba, if you talk with old people, where are the fishermen ending? When they don't, their engine is stopping, they go with the Gulf Stream and they end up in this where it is zero before. You know, you detect zero before.
Mhm.
And in the old times, the Panamanian were complaining that they are finding Philips bulbs, while they are not using for the bulbs from the light.
Mhm.
While in Panama they were not using Philips.
And
that
Juliet,
means that the Philips
when
is
you hear this here
it's
about
coming from Aruba or the other islands here.
when you hear
So-
this about this is
This is
also
my,
what you have seen. Yes.
Well,
or
Sorry, I'm talking too much.
no, you can talk
It's
that.
okay.
Yeah.
So in Antigua, actually, what they found was that some of the plastics that they were finding, the ocean samples, were actually coming from the Atlantic, so from more distant places. And in San Blas, actually, they collected the sample with the most amount of microplastics. So I think it was over 300 pieces in just one sliver of the ocean.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, everything from, it's sort of everything gets stuck in the San Blas Islands. And what they were seeing on the islands also, like if you see the pictures of the crew that went there, I mean, it's crazy. And obviously, we as Aruba, because obviously we have leakage and we have litter also, our stuff is also likely ending up.
That's what I want to zoom into. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do have this question. We are very, the question was from him also, how do you know where it's coming from, like from Aruba, talking about, that you can say, okay, this is coming from Aruba and it's wind up there.
Yeah.
How do you...
Well, I mean, we can see that by our own shores, right? So if you go to the North Shore, most of that plastic is coming from elsewhere, right? But our southern shore, the wind is offshore, right? So the currents are also flowing in a particular direction. So I mean, we're getting an impact from elsewhere, and
Aruba is...
and we are having an impact on somewhere else.
And
So
what is mostly then, if you see in plastic, what is what we find? For example, I'm a mountain biker. I go a lot on the north side. I see a lot of like oil can, of the plastic. How do you say that? Not cans, but because that's iron. But the bottles, the plastic bottles where they have the
containers, you
oil, the
mean?
containers.
Yeah,
Thank you, Melissa. I was using. Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, no, I let you talk. I'm so excited because I haven't done the podcast a long time. But I mean, I see a lot of those. So I'm thinking layout and things like you were saying, okay, people throwing that off from the big ships.
possible, but there's also other sources. For example, think of, we've all seen those pictures. I think it was like Dominican Republic, Haiti, of the rivers, in heavy rainfall, that the rivers just bring this, literally a river of plastics into the ocean. So there's many different sources, like, not all islands. Some of the bigger islands, for example, you have these small villages that may not have access to waste management services, so yeah, and their stuff unfortunately just ends up in nature. So could it be cruise ships? I'm not sure.
Cruise ships, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. On our North Shore, I don't know if there's any science out there particularly, or reports.
Do you know that, Leo? Do you know if there's science in this region from cruise ships or stuff like that?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe we should look at the Marpol authorities in London, where maybe we can find something about what they are discharging. But I assume they're not reporting, because the Caribbean Sea is well known in the Marpol to be one of the most polluted ones, because no control.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the North Sea, we are flying day and night with our Coast Guard. I have been flying for 8 years.
Yeah.
And to look at the oil spills and whatever they are throwing from the ships. And if we catch a ship, when it's coming to Rotterdam, we put it on the chain and have to pay a fine.
Heavily.
So they are very aware of that. So
Do you think that if we know here that cruise ships are polluting, that we're going to chain them because Aruba is living off tourism.
Well, I don't think it's a Aruba specific problem, right?
No.
So it's a regional. It needs to be a regional effort to try and figure out, what's actually happening out there when cruise ships are in the middle of our Caribbean Ocean. How do you enforce that? How do you check up on that? So
my neighbor is working on the on a cruise ship from Holland America line, and he is involved. He is a safety and environmental officer on board, and he is telling me that he is getting his garbage is going to accepted processor here on the island, which we all know.
Quredits Bo.
No.
Oh,
The
no?
other one, and a very big company here.
Oh,
And we all
Okay,
know
yeah.
who is it, the biggest employer on Aruba. And then I don't have to give a name anymore. But he is. They are sending them. I know from him that their ships are bringing. But you have an obligation. You are not allowed to discharge or dump.
Yeah.
What you call it dumping, because dumping is illegal. That's because you are doing it deliberately. And I don't have figures, but maybe.
yeah.
Pero portanto, para vai back na bamisa expedition, dus bamisa
Ja.
like bosa medi.
Ja.
Pas ons een visual com porta já para mostrar, die kota mostra eigenlijk Kiko awardo poniding Kiko awardo haya eigenlijk. So
let's see. So that's the.
Ooh, I see something like. I see like Aruba is like winning.
Yeah, so those are the land-based sources. Exactly. The first thing you can see there is that the bar is highest, right?
Yes.
So what they found, the number one plastic litter, which is actually also considered plastic, tobacco products. It has the filter, right?
okay.
Oh.
That's also, those are fibers, which are basically plastic.
Polymers.
Okay.
And then the second thing they found was...
So we're smoking here a lot, or I don't understand that. Why we have that more than compared to
It's a
Bonaire?
habit, right? When people smoke,
It's
they
outside.
but they also just throw their butts out.
That
It's
is true.
just, it's
I mean, you don't. Yeah, that is true. If you're outside, bonot yung asbak. Bonot.
The walk
So
you
tire-
in beach. Same.
yeah,
Maybe the tourists.
Yeah,
Tambe po.
but they're Americans. They're not
Yeah.
like smokers. European are more smokers.
Yeah, but they are smoking also.
Okay, but it's okay. You can. Sorry. I
yeah.
had to
No, that's
interrupt you.
okay.
Yeah.
So the second one was food plastic. No big surprise there. High litter items. And then, plastic fragments, different paper, glass. What I can say additional to this, I don't know if you included that graphic with maybe, I'm not sure if it was included in the study, but from this, Aruba also had the highest density of litter being found. So for every square meter, there's 2.52 pieces of litter in Aruba, and which was compared to the other countries, cumulatively higher than all of the other places put together.
And do
So-
you know why? Or is it an assumption?
You
or-
know,
yeah?
no. I mean, I think we have a throwaway culture here. And what's crazy to me about that figure, because that to me was one of the most shocking, like, especially compared to the other islands, because some of the other islands don't have access, like I explained, to waste management services. So the simple fact that, even if you don't pay your bill, it's still going to get picked up. So the fact that we have 100% access to waste collection services and that we still have such a high, litter density and higher than all of the other countries put together is just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and we don't know why is that. I mean, is it something to do that Quredits Bo is at the sea and then it's
No,
all
so
the
these
stuff
were-
is going in, or
No.
it's
So
a
this
Quredits
is
Bo.
actually litter, right? This is
Yes, litter,
land-based.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Land-based science,
Yeah.
and the transects that we did were
Yeah.
actually in Orionstad.
Oh, okay.
So where there's business activity or commercial activity, you're going to find litter related to whatever businesses.
Pero ora pa
are
kiko te
close by.
importante pa hasi een holistic approach na in onderzoek. Pa so er bosa study eigenlijk bambisa on land, bosa is surface, is sediment. Dus bambisa pa kiko het importante pa si ele ding asina un approach.
Ja, dus oranosting litter is of leakage is that they're ending up, right? The first place is the sediment, then it goes to the surface, right? It's floating, and then there's that question of whether they sink over time. In like another shocking data point, it's the sediment samples. 13% of the sediment samples were plastics, basically. Which is crazy. So it's literally you take a cup, right? You underwater and you take the sand. 13% of that sand is going to be plastic.
Okay. And that's why I want to switch now, because I'm also looking at the time. I'm a fabulous timekeeper, but I want to switch. What does it do? What does it do microplastic with my body and the nature? You can tell about first on a new investigation they did. On what is doing
just
that.
To give you a background, we are intending to have a podcast with somebody in the Netherlands who I know, and his team has just found out that you have microplastics in Dick Vethaak. Dick Vethaak is a professor at the Vrije Universiteit of Amsterdam, and I know him very well because I have been doing monitoring of the river, not the river, but the platforms offshore. And Dick has helping me with, we were at that time looking at tributyl tin, which is a compound used on ships, and it changes your how do you call it? Your geslacht, how do you call it?
Your
gender,
sex.
your gender.
Sex.
Changing the sex of fishes. So we stopped it after the monitor.
Yeah.
But Dick is also continues to study, and he has been doing a lot on microplastics. Yeah. And apparently his team has found out that in our bloodstreams, there are plastic available, and I can imagine, because if you talk about nanoplastics,
can you finish your sentence? What did he found?
That there are microplastics in your
in our blood. It has been detected in our blood,
and our texture also.
So it is proven that we actually get it.
Right, we are getting it.
So we had an idea that you see it in the fish we eat because they eat it. So you had an idea, but now it's proven.
So that means that what you did with sand, the 13%, if I don't want to have a cup of my blood now for you to investigate, but 30%. You will find a percentage. Is that true, Leo?
Yeah.
You find a percentage of plastics in the blood.
I found another article which is later in 2022.
Yeah.
It's this year, beginning of this year. And remarkably, I found out that your paper has not been referred to, and that's very strange. And because they said it is a literature research. Okay. So they look at the quality of the papers they have been reading, and they describe the impact on your body in it. But I didn't have time to read it all. And there is definitely on fishes, on microorganisms, on algae, on and another thing is what I'm when I was reading this, not completely good, because I have to read it 2 times or 3 times before understanding it. I'm not a microbiologist or whatever, but I like to read these things anyway. But on plastics has also the characteristics that they absorb pollutants. Yep. Like heavy metals, like PAHs. So when you are getting it in your blood, and plastic itself, it could be inert. Because plastic is actually inert, like asbestos. I told you already.
Yeah, we know that.
but it carries pollutants on it, which can impact you even worse, like PAHs. That's carcinogenic. We are talking about cigarettes. It's in the smoke of the cigarettes. That's why you're getting lung cancer.
I think Juliet also knows a little bit about this, because we talked about this previously.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other issue with the movement of plastics, right? It's not just pollutants and stuff like that, but if for some of the bigger items, you also have invasive species that cross go to places that they shouldn't be. But yeah, when we talk about our bodies, actually the founder of X Expedition, she at some point tested her blood, because microplastics is one thing, but it's the chemicals, that's a whole other conversation that, many of us don't even realize. And she tested her body, I think it was for 34 different chemicals that were banned worldwide, globally. And she found 29 of them in her blood. Yeah. So, it's not just about the plastics, but I think I'd be a little bit more worried about the chemicals that are leaching into our food, our, whatever, bottled drinks, all of that. There's another European institution that looked at the chemicals, and they identified, I think, they tested a whole bunch of food packaging, and I think they identified something along the lines of like 16,000 different chemicals, individual chemicals, and only, I think it was something like 9,000 of those were known. So all of the other stuff, we don't even know what they are.
But I would like to go back to microplastic, because in the beginning we're starting to talk about the size. Do you remember, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is it with the size? You said, we're going back to the size again.
Because it's if you know the size, what you are dealing with. I don't know why they took. I think the scientists just took a border at 5 millimeters. Maybe they have a justification for that. Maybe 5 millimeters could have an impact on flora and fauna. I don't know it. They have done research on it. But if you are talking about nano meters, which is 10 to the minus 9 meter, that's going through your whole system of your body.
Yeah, plastic doesn't go away. That's what we need to realize.
Yeah.
Like it never goes away. It gets smaller over time, but it never goes away.
But can our body? But doesn't that mean that our body slowly, like evolution, is getting adapted to it? Is it not something positive out of this, or are we? I'm too positive.
From a health perspective, what we need to remember, to understand the impact of plastics on our bodies, on human health. These are usually longitudinal studies that are conducted over, a sample population over decades and decades and decades, right? To really understand what their lifestyles are and to be able to come to any sort of conclusion of whether plastic is a culprit. So there's only now, like the human blood one, studies coming out. But for example, what we know are that plastics and the chemicals within them can act as endocrine disruptors. So that means that they're having an impact on our hormones. And if they're having an impact on our hormones, that also means that, things like obesity, we always think of obesity as, food and exercise, but it's not. Like, it's showing that, plastics and the ingestion of plastics is now also having an impact on.
Yeah, what did you want to say something? You mentioned something.
No, you said you have to put a cacho.
But actually, I want to say something.
One thing, because then we're going to this.
I know, okay, I'm getting to that.
Yeah,
actually, because as a consumer, what can I do? Because I'm ingesting. I'm ingesting plastics either way, because I in the packaging of food, but also, for example, there's we had a visual, but we have it here. I mean, for example, I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, we have it there.
Yeah.
We have solutions like microplastic-free formulas.
Yeah, so
Melissa.
as a consumer, I think when I see this, I'm like, okay, this is something good. As a consumer, I'm not adding to the plastic pollution, and that's good for my body, for my health. But if plastic doesn't go away, then this is also plastic.
Yep.
So,
and that bottle
what
is
can we
likely
do?
leaching into the shampoo. So, there's a study on water, for example, bottled water, where they sourced bottled water from all over the world. And they found that compared to a water that was the same brand was packaged in a plastic bottle and a glass bottle, and the glass bottle contained less microplastics. So meaning that there are microplastics leaching from the container itself into the content.
But we have solutions. That's why we're going to talk about
Yep.
this. Is this a solution? Because
No.
I'm going to tell you. Okay.
Already
Because
answered no.
I use soap. Normally I use soap, just a bar of soap.
Yeah.
And actually you also have bars of soap
Shampoo.
for shampoo.
Shampoo.
And
Yeah,
why
that's
did I
true.
also do it? Not only the environment, but this is also like a very bad deal because most of it is water. So you're buying actually water. But I also did it because I didn't want to contribute to a lot of waste. But now but this I saw, so I think, yeah, I can buy a bottle and I'm still green.
Yeah.
But this is
No, I mean, the oil industry is are masters of,
greenwashing. That's what you told me.
greenwashing, yeah, and mislabeling, lack of transparency in terms of, what these products are made of. So, no, a bar of shampoo, soap, always better, wrapped in a,
But it's getting confused because it's, you have the climate change and everything, blah, blah, blah. But you also saw that when a lot of people became vegetarian or vegan, you see at a certain point that the commercial, parties are jumping on it because they see that. And then you get more choices as a consumer. So you're thinking like, okay, before of this, you had like, okay, plastic, and you had maybe your own cup, and then you knew, okay, this is, this is better, and that is bad.
Yeah.
But now we have all those variants.
yeah.
So I get like confused.
Yeah. So what I can, a tip I always try and say is if it looks like plastic and feels like plastic, it likely is plastic. Even if it's plant-based, it doesn't matter. It's still a polymer.
But you also told me before the show, she told me that all those cups, because now we of course have a ban here and stuff like that, but also the paper cups contain plastic.
Sure. But so we can never, we can't just prohibit plastics, but we do need to make steps forward, right? So the point with the paper cups is that these are all, those types of products are high litter items, right? So we have to look at how we use these items. That shampoo bottle is likely going to go in your garbage at home. If you're getting to-go food, it's likely going to end up, somewhere in the environment. And so when it does, and it ends up in the marine environment, it falls apart easier, right? And so it doesn't have the same impact on, say, marine life, because it doesn't have those sharp edges, things like that. So is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it an improvement? Absolutely.
What is for you, if you want to mention one thing for us here on Aruba, Arubians, etc., that we can do and that would like make a difference? You already did that, of course, with your, the law and the plastic ban for single use, but what would you recommend for now?
I think the first thing that people need to remember is that none of us are perfect. And it's not a perfect system. And there's lots of tiny little things that you can do that fit within your lifestyle. So simple things, there's so many different types of sources of plastic, right? Our clothing, everything. So one of the things I do is, always walk around with your reusables as much as possible, obviously. But also your clothing, instead of buying synthetic clothing, slowly try and make the effort to buy cotton, linen, or natural fibers, right? That don't contribute to microfibers in the washing process. There's so many different things that each person...
Yeah, because now I remember you also talked about the glitters.
Yeah.
Oh, the micro beads, which is a part of microplastics.
Yeah.
Because
that are in personal care products,
Yes, because you find actually there was a ban in 2016, I think, because before that you found that you could actually see the microbeads in the products, in toothpaste, in scrubs, and I love scrubs. So to me it was very important to know whether. So right now I use sugar scrubs because I think that would be the best option. But
or
now
salt.
I don't know. Yeah. Or salt, but other products that say they have natural scrubs, I don't know, so I stay away. But like that with with such a sticker of the Nivea and sometimes as a consumer I feel frustrated because like you said you do have so many options and you're trying to not add to the problem and
But we get just lied to. Just gonna say
Absolutely.
that. We get lied to.
Yes. So, mapuntrabo before, si nós está aqui ora é bambisa, nós tinha landfill, nós está aqui ora é plastics na que end up in the ocean. Então nós está tendo conta com é stroming. Bambisa nós poting plastic bans, nós poting wetgeving, pero toch eigenlijk wetgeving wordt een tikkie undermined, pas is stroming toch de tresse plastic. So Kiko porta oplossing. Kiko nos por. What can we do about that?
Keep moving forward.
Okay. So,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's the problem. I've been learning about plastics now. So yeah, I'm since 2000. So that's almost 10 years, I guess. Next year will be 10 years. But the more I learn, the more overwhelming it is of, how large the problem is, and climate, plastics contribution also to climate change is huge. I think something like 30-40% of, contributions of emissions come from the plastics industry. So, it's immense. But that just means, we take it one step at a time and, do our research properly, make our decisions based on science and data, and just keep moving forward.
this is the sounds. Because is there some plastic in your wine?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't say no because I've never tested
But is it a
it.
glass bottle?
It is a glass bottle, but you're not sure where the grape is coming from. So it drives bindi un lugar. Probabilmente não está usa água, então tem água e tem microplastic, provavelmente. Nanoplastic, portanto, está dentro. But água.
Yeah, we're going to the wine section.
Água, pessoal, água é o dia de mama.
Yes.
Correcto, não?
Oh, yeah, we forgot about
it.
it.
O dia de mama, água, hope de nós, abai, hace brunch, of dinner com sua mama, of anywhere com os casados, não a bebê, provavelmente, mimosa. Unlimited, toch? Como sem limite, right? Então pensei, we moeten dedicar sessão aqui, natura e mama não. Então para mama não speciaal também com renda puntrami, então aqui na melissa, você tem puntrami. Para bingo para nós purba prosecco. Então para prometer nós purba,
Ja, mi suggestion dat para subidor com sampo nós está aí para misa, nós está aí bem corda, nós está aí bem blanco. Dus agora vamos mostrar que options mais nós tem.
O prosecco é coisa mais estranho tá com antes prometo 2009 e driver prosecco tá agora chamado prosecco drive. Pero em 2009 na cambiou em glera, que é seu nome original.
Glera, como tu escrevia sei?
Glera.
Okay.
Glera. Então, o motivo da com o tempo é net aí na duna região onde nada trabalha prosecco é dominação controlada como é aqui dominação de origine controlada e garantita.
Italiana.
O DOGC. Pero a base de sei nang ora nang deduzir DOC que é dominação original controlada e prosecco também com champanhe, bom não champanhe se nota bem de região de champanhe de França e método tá nota maneira champanhe tampouco e método tá método a parte, mas não tem duas sortes de prosecco tem duas sortes de eta wordt trabalhando de duas maneiras. Então dinanta eta produzir prosecco frisante com menos gás, é uma que menos ácido, ou seja, gás CO2 maneira você eta é por ácido, porta ácido. Então, prosecco frisante tem menos gás. Então, se você prosecco spumante, esse é hobby gás. Esse é uma que de escolher bom prosecco.
Pero quanto miho era chispa introduzir para mimosa, of dat zij algo que
Good question.
Good question. La caros
Pastor, mas tanto bambisa, ama pensa mas tanto se me quer spumante, então me quer acht bubbly.
Sim.
Então se me quer frisante, então pastor, bambisa
A mi lo bisa si e frisanti me lo bebe mas tanto sin e juice in je, so ja acaba e juice. Sai, no, het flatten toch.
Het flatten.
I would say.
Het saca smaken voor.
So de emite wana zitten voorkeur, dus bambisa. Pero porta sai algo.
No, verdad daar maar net bisa tanto bubbles aan coutin gele, dat mi na smaak dan be.
Ja.
En dat die hoor ik het massa acido, en dat door ik het in mootje CO2, eta baja e outro smaak dan frutoso coutin ding, frutoso coutin ding. En to eta scientifici zuur, no? Então, pero prosecco tomar agora trabalhando solamente em 5 províncias, que queda em Veneto e Friuli, na Itália, que tem que mais arriba. Então, se é bisa acaba, smaak característico tá, e gas não tudo, mas é bisa agora. Fruta, flor, apple verde, tem hora tá melão, per e honing. Ok, então laat me zien spiegel zo wat.
Dus outro lang so tim biha bota haim nem prosecco tami kun anta bisa no eta maneira apricot of nanting outro coisa de pero seta nanta voeg toe erbij depois.
No, het depende di terroir também. Você tem mais smaak por fora di prosecco. Dat depende di regio, anto e terroir. Come se una la e soil, sim.
Ja, oké.
Depende di tanto. Non lo bida ku ting alcohol din também. Então, mais ou menos 10%, anto como a metà di dosis só la faccio in veneno. Tem cuidado.
Mi mama te vai hari hoppi na kasi to wakisaki. Eta vai hari hoppi.
Seta pa mi mesmo te bise non to poso, no? Anto prosecco mi te pur non ci guarda. Urad kasi ki papi poso urad.
Chile bota gusta algo di bia of bota
I don't usually drink wines anymore. No.
You're not.
No, I used to. But yeah, I don't know. Something about the yeast.
Plastic? No.
Sorry? No. Not about plastic.
The yeast.
It's more about listening to my body.
I understand it. Yeah. I just smelled something and I was thinking that maybe somebody, if I don't want to say, let's talk again. Yeah, let's talk about it then, because nobody smelled that what we smelled, but. Yes, open it. Yoo-hoo! Feliz dia di mama. Yeah, let's.
Okay, essa aqui tá prosecco di la marca de mindi Treviso. Que tá dia província nan den Veneto.
I can. Yeah? Like this?
Sim, baixa. Bota tem nada bom?
Yeah, then we can see like the color.
Então eta vai hopi bom com prosecco vai hopi bom com pisca naturalmente. Tá ceia que tu reconhece.
Sí, pero aquí no se cae para de piscante o plastics, I don't know. But yeah,
by the way, if I can say plastic, we take out we got the fish, right? So it doesn't mean that we're eating the plastic. Might be leaching into the fish, but mussels, oysters, things that we eat whole, those are the ones that we should worry more about.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good to
Shellfish.
Yeah, because we eat the whole oyster, we eat the whole mussel. So we don't, right? We don't.
Okay.
We don't clean.
No, pero outra coisa mais com prosecco também bom com spicy comida de Tailândia com Vietnam. Hoop je não tá querendo que sei, pero eta door que tá spicy, ando bo bebele, eta ba spicy nem um ticket, tá controlar spicy.
Okay.
Mi non so se eta é luz, pero eta parsemi gewoon água. Spa. Wat que não tem normalmente.
Então para vegetariano não é brie, camembert, queijo de cabrito, mozzarella. Vai bom com que men se botou salada de mozzarella.
Come também spicy Thai food, just vegetarian. Pero me te come spicy Thai food.
Vou dar bom prosecco com ele. Santé, saúde. Feliz dia de mama, não?
Yeah, happy Mommy's Day.
E essa aqui tá spumante?
Essa é uma boa pergunta. So me não check e quando bar, nata bisco se tá spumante tem 6 bar. Que men 6 atmosfeer pressão het dingen boter. Pero me não tem aparato.
Doesn't the size of the bubbles also have something to do with it, right?
The concentration, the amount of bubbles, I think. Because it is the more pressure you have, the more gas you have in it.
I like it to drink it like this. I would not prefer. I wouldn't put any juice in it. That would be
Pues
like,
aqui não, esse aqui
it's
tá
very suave.
Sim, você bota a taste
And now that's what I didn't want to mention it, but I think you had some cheese, and I didn't dare to
that's
say
what
that.
you smell.
Yeah, and I smelled it at the beginning already, and I didn't dare
Honestly-
because I was thinking somebody's nervous. But now
Basta,
it is the
mi-
cheese that it's smelling like
Mi
that.
pensa bota bahasi joke assim, na, pero
No, pero
minuto
mina dato sako itating keshi ko ne. Yes, but this is very. Then everybody knows now. So this is very fragrant.
Okay, here.
I can help you if you want. Yeah. So this is like a camembert.
No, it's a brie.
Oh, this is
I
a
brought
brie.
a brie.
A brie from
I-
Normandia. Okay.
Normandy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all French. This is Italian, that's French.
I just give it like this.
okay.
Do you like it? Yeah, I just have to do because it's a little bit like.
Yeah.
Also with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Love
Ooh,
cheese.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Stinky
I
cheeses.
it has
Yeah.
stinky cheeses, but I like cheese.
And everything you can buy here, I think, in Aruba, because even though it's Normandy.
And for Jeff.
For Jeff.
I brought an Aruban Prosecco, which is
Papa
called
Corral.
Balash. Okay, Jeff?
Yeah, because he doesn't like wine. Shame on no, that doesn't. That's for you. Well, I think we had a very nice topic. We can still say we are early.
Yeah, but
You know
but,
what
but
fun-
kinda rushed us into it.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
rush. I was to the point. But now we have some extra time, so we have some minutes. We have like how many minutes? I see 3 minutes. Is that correct, Jeff? No, we have
Actually-
like 10 minutes even, so we can talk.
Actually, yeah, I have
And
questions.
so we can
I-
go
I
back
have
to the
questions all the
microplastic.
time.
Okay, I interrupted you, so go ahead.
Thank you. Meneer bijvoorbeeld over die, meneer onze papia over die toere choices ng kuting. Mi quero buy tiki back ba microbeats. Meneer misa ko na outro país na nating meneer apps kubo po actually scan products pa wak pambisa kung hobby microplastics sa team.
Yeah.
Ito algo ko pambisa nos lo po hasi kinantame of
Sure.
Kiko,
And most of the
ano po
brands
sila?
that we use, you can probably even use one of those apps because most of the brands that we have here are international anyway. So, yeah, I remember I tried, and I can't remember what it was called though. But
So mi quero download it pa by
Yeah.
testen.
do you remember what it was called?
Beat the Beats of zoiets, something like that. I don't know. Pero ito un campaign pa check in microbeats nang.
Yeah.
Pero bambisa Kiko anos mas lupohas bijvoorbeeld mi porta mas aware di essay. Pergunta que nos tating durante ku ora nos ta papia over di saki ta ku Leo abisa sí pero eta already done. So Kiko nos poha assim.
It's irreversible.
It's
maar
irreversible.
Como
Aha.
mi problema ma granita. Ku mi koi mi telefoon, mi koi saki. Ku ta etapa di mi koi waterkeer, mi koi mi bril. Mi sapato,
toothbrush,
mi auto,
toilet seats, windows.
Yeah.
You have it everywhere. Então, a pergunta de mais granita, que nos passa de cos, segundo a mim não se passa usar nós temos modelo na volante, na toda essa que everything which is not acceptable is in the middle, right? And before that, you have to prevent it becoming unacceptable.
But the global warming issue,
And
for
then-
example.
and after that, you have only how do you call it? Things you can do to prevent it getting worse, or to prevent you getting ill. So it's preventive, and how do you call it the other one? Repressive.
Yeah.
You know. So how if the problem is so big that it has been spread everywhere in the sea.
But I mean, let's before you maybe you can answer. I think that we have a responsibility. I mean, if we
Exactly.
look at Aruba, there are so many things that we're not doing. Like it's insane that you're saying we have 100% access to waste management facilities, but it's
Collection.
still collection. Sorry, collection, not management. No, we
litter,
dismanage.
litter.
We dismanage it, but and then we have the biggest. I mean. This is crazy that we have a mountain of sushi akinang, and to it letterlijk slide. I mean, there's so many things still to do.
True, but pensei, look at bisa mane Bob contra Juliet, what could it be ku nos dance tita assim, dus ita mas dance na Aruba, me te kere ita verdade of ja, ama sinta think about it, pa mi mes ku se you think about it, hope viaja verdade nos tem collection com dus quando ta passa pick up, pero idea que ainda nos pode tirar coisas de mundo ainda tem. Que bambisa bopa just throw it away.
No. Okay, I get you, but I mean, even though I that is really like one-on-one. So, but I pay something like that. But I pay for the waste collection.
Yeah, okay.
And then it still winds up in the sea. Or it still winds up in the land, and it still winds. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but what we're again, you have to look at what we're finding, right? So, and there's like one of the biggest things that we found also that really surprised me was paint flakes.
Yeah.
Right, our paint. And we have to think of that's not mismanaged waste. That's not litter. That's just an industry, or that could be coming from the maritime industry. That's possibly from our wind, right, during construction and things like that. That or when we need to repaint, we do the pressure wash.
Oh the pressure washing. Yeah.
But all of those things, when we go wash our paintbrushes, when we're painting at home, it goes down the drain. And then we can link it up with things like the Karmabi report that was out there, because we conducted the study. I think it was in, when were we here? So early December 2019. And the sample that we took was also out there. So it's very possible that, because RZ2I is in the position, is it RZ2I of?
Yeah,
thank you. I always mix it up.
The real waterzuiveringsinstallatie.
Right. So it's not necessarily that, that could be contributing to it, but it could also be other things, right? Nos tem viento. There's not necessarily, it's the simple fact that, that hill is so high, the plastic bags were just flying off, so it's not necessarily that, and again, for products where we have other substitutions, we should be using those.
Yeah.
And
But I think I have, besides the banning, which is, I'm grateful for that. You have done it. You are actually our hero, because I was just thinking about, last Monday somebody said we need heroes on Aruba. That's true. One of the things is also we have to do is for plastics, we have to come with a separation, like in the Netherlands. You separate your plastics and put it in a bag, special bag, and then the people, and then you have to have something else, not only separating it and collecting it in a container, not a plastic container. Anyway, but you have to have a company who is process it. We can recycle it in the circular economy, the idea.
Yeah, but that was the whole issue.
And
that's why
that's
we don't separate, because the incinerator needs the whole package like as it is. So it was a choice. It was a choice not to do it. And to me, I have issues with that in the way that if you don't separate, you don't bonota incentivar gente para pensar, me tenho eigenlijk let op kiko met a throw away. This effect ku nos não tem ideia passou mané persoonlijk maar misa dat teora como bij Hollanda anto bewustwording realização ku bambisa meeting ku separate mi kona passou nota tur sushi da mané mit throw then in saco anto eta buy somewhere anto nata take care of it.
The problem with recycling, though, like globally, and that's not just looking at plastics, but there's a difference between whatever recycling or processing in some other way and it being an effective process. As we know, plastics, for it to be recycled effectively is a whole different thing.
But we do have those here. We do have a collection of plastic, and they
Plastic
make other
Beach
and they make other products. They do that in a way. Sometimes I'm frowning because they're like heating it, and sometimes I'm like, you're standing there, so I don't think it's like that.
So perhaps
You
they
know,
should
sometimes
check
in
their
a
blood.
way they're doing it. It's not that
is
healthy
the-
for the people.
That's extrusion process, and they have to heat it to make new products.
Yeah, but they did it before. I think now they moved to a more professional surround, but they did used to do that like in a home environment, and I saw them heating it, and it was like, okay, I was a little bit afraid that
They wear safety masks and things like that. So
so they do. Yeah,
But the way actually, they're the only ones that actually
Try
recycle
something.
plastic effectively,
Correct.
Yeah.
because there's so many different types, and and the products that they make out of that are also not single use anymore, right? So there's a lot of that's also another greenwashing of, you see a lot of like foundations out there with collecting ocean plastics and then making bracelets, which is basically another throwaway item, right?
So they make like plant pots or stuff like that.
things
and
that are
that's
durable, that have
Yeah.
a longer life, and
Yeah.
But there was somebody here present, but he doesn't talk with us. But he was thinking about using some plastics to make oil of it and to use it as a recover that as an energy source.
Oh.
To use it somewhere else, for instance, at web, for. And so there are technological solutions that you can collect certain plastics and then.
Okay.
Okay.
But let me ask then the final question.
Oh, no,
Can
can I have a question before your final? Because if yours is fine,
is there like
It's okay.
no,
it's
this
okay.
is not a good one.
I'm gonna ask it anyways. Bo study dat een momentopname.
correcto.
So, Kiko is zeita ora bisa di bambisa plastic kunusting akinang. Dus dat een momentopname. Of course, ora maar studies that needed pa nos poko pero ora Kiko nos posaka voor die een momentopname aki, die meting aki.
Mita kere, ting basta, I mean, it certainly broadened my horizon in terms of sources of plastic, things that I wasn't even thinking about, right? Pero like the study for me says, okay, maybe I need to go study more over here and figure out exactly, where exactly is the paint coming from? Was it indeed, whatever? Is it from the construction industry? Is it from, the water plant? Or is it, so there's, it brought more questions. And then, the idea or the ambition is to get a monitoring system or do a longer study over time to really understand, not just a moment, pero osa quizás vol of monitor is a fulung aya, to also for seasonal changes and tourism and all of that stuff. So, but yeah, then COVID hit, so.
But now you're gonna pick that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an ambition. So we want to actually do part of the study, so focus more on the land-based perspective, because I think that's also something, it's a low-hanging fruit. And yeah, as a foundation, obviously, funding is always a challenge. So yeah, depends on the funding that we're able to get. So that the land-based part is an easier project that we can pick up quickly and do something about it quickly also. So.
Okay. My final question is, can we just not decide to live without plastic?
Yes.
Is that doable?
It's doable.
I think it will come as soon as they stop producing oil and gas, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know, because then you are going over to biological systems, and the question is biopolymers. What can they? What is biopolymer, and how fast are they biodegrading? That's a question also.
And under what conditions?
And under what conditions they can change to metabolites, which can have an impact again.
Yeah.
So you have to.
And how are they grown, and the crops needed for them? Are they using
A lot of
chemical
crops.
fertilizers? And anyway.
But we can live.
So I'm not a huge fan of biopolymers. Not at all.
But can we live without plastic?
Yeah, so we, one of my crew members on like 4FX expedition, Rachel, she lives plastic free. And she actually produced an app on all the stores that you can visit. So she was
Okay.
traveling around the world for a year, and she was busy with this app for travelers that you can go anywhere in the world and go to stores that you can source your stuff that's plastic free.
Wow, that would be
So-
a nicer one instead of the one Happy Island thing that we have for a long. I don't. It's already let's say overrated. The one Happy Island Aruba thing. We can have the
You don't think we're happy?
the one happy plastic free island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what do you think you can? Could you do that like her colleague?
I think so. I mean, it's an adjustment. I mean, no, but what aware.
So you're gonna stop using this this.
I have
brands?
no problem using soap. I have no problem using that. And I do like the smell though. I'm not gonna lie. With the gusto orange sunshine dinang. Pero enota un hard decision pa make si meeting cookies. Dus of pero ja, zij te pami, mino
Yeah.
pobisa zij pa doorheen. Dus
Do you think then that maybe that if we're just if your lifespan is gonna drop if you're using like this, because I get plastic in me, if I drink water I get plastic in me, and your lifespan is gonna drop, would that be something that people are saying, hey, I'm gonna get a wake-up call now, I'm gonna stop using plastic?
It's like COVID, eh? COVID pandemic, it would be a microplastic pandemic then,
Yes.
maybe.
It is a microplastic pandemic. We're
is,
consuming
yes.
about a credit card worth of microplastics, so breathing, and ingesting on a weekly basis. So
But is there a report
wait.
that
No,
says
but
then
wait.
that you live like
But wait, let's bang staat daarbij stil, no? Dus ik amount die een plastic credit card per week. Dus de onze man moet te consume als hij nog hobby plastic.
well,
Dat is-
breathing and ingesting, right?
Okay.
So there's also microplastics in our air.
In the air.
That we
and
breathe.
what does that do with your lifespan? Is that something
Well,
that
again,
Dat
those
is
are
something who Porta
I found that article,
befriend,
but I don't...
befriend
Dick
for
Verhagen
talk
can
about.
tell. Yes, he can.
But have you found something?
No, I mean these are the longitudinal studies. Again, there's so much science coming out now that we're only scratching the surface of understanding what the health impacts are on us.
But maybe the crew member, she's a good study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
that
they
doesn't
can see it
mean-
already after a year if she's.
But that doesn't mean that she's not exposed to it,
That's
right?
true.
Because it's in her air.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
that's true. Okay.
So.
And,
Well,
and sometimes she drinks something outside and then...
she
No,
gets
she
maybe.
always walks. No, she
No?
always walks
Okay.
around with her reusable bottle everywhere.
Well, she should
is
come
a
also
champ.
again and yes, but she has an app also. I understand. Anyway, thank you so much.
Sure.
Ting
you.
un lugar
Mas
yeah.
okay.
bambisas yung hindi ta mas interesado ding sa etopiko aki ko balo man advice.
Maybe I can share that in the comments or something like that. But there's an app that X Expedition also developed. It's called Shift, and it basically has hundreds and hundreds of micro solutions that, depending on who you are, what you do, what your lifestyle is, that, you can find something, a tip or two.
Yeah, and add also your foundation.
Yeah.
If people want to contribute.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially the big polluters in the commercial world. Okay?
Perhaps.
Contribute something like you do something like, oh, I do something good, and then the next day you keep on polluting. But at least you did something with it. Huh?
Polluter pays principle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Also,
you.
again,
Thank
for
you.
the wine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leo, for bringing every week again. And the next podcast, do we know the topic?
Isa mi talaga na Leo.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we have a topic. It's about the post-pandemic research. It's IPA. It's our Institute for how do you call it? For new teachers. They are starting because they get signs from the public that young people are having problems with problems.
Mental health.
Mental health. It's about mental health. So they are having problems of after the pandemic to restart again their life, recontinue their life because suppose they are going to start an investigation on that, and I hope we can get some information.
Pero nós tínhamos um guest
Sim,
também.
Sim, That's Paula Kibbelaar.
Oh ja.
And
Die,
she's coming here.
Bij Papia over.
ja, de Universidade di Aruba.
Ja.
Ja.
Wel super, e seita otro simang e ora a trobe Cacho Spierto 8 ore.
Sì.
A noche, già domingo, anto etabaita over die mental health die, ja, bouw die juventud post-pandemic.
Yes.
Masha danki.
Yes, hope je dank je partij con ons,
Mas
ouwe.
dank
Thank you. Anytime.
Okay.
See you in the next podcast.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.